Is Georgia actually worth it in 2026? I've been asked this question more than probably any other question over the past year, and I've given mostly vague answers because the actual answer is a little bit complicated. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you the real answer, the full picture, not the answer designed to get you to buy a guide or book a call, but the answer I'd actually give to a close friend who was considering moving to Georgia and relocating, or even just visiting. Now, I'm leaving Georgia in a few days to head back to Bangkok after 14 months of being set up here, Georgian IE, business registration, banking here, property ownership here, and I'm gonna be heading back to Thailand. So this video is gonna be the full picture of everything I actually think. So if you're new here, my name is Dylan, I'm Australian, I'm 23. I first landed in Batumi January of 2025. Now, a little over 14 months later, I have everything registered here, my business, my taxes, my banking. I've bought property here, and this is my home base with the full setup here. I've also built a community of currently over 80 people here in Georgia, and I'm now leaving back to Thailand in a few days for a fight camp. And while I'm away, my full business structure, my 1% tax, everything stays in place. And that's the whole point of the setup that I've built. So in this video, there's 5 things that I'm gonna cover, and that's gonna be what Georgia actually delivered versus what I expected, what genuinely surprised me, the good and the bad, the honest financial reality after 14 months of being set up with Georgia, who Georgia is actually right for and maybe not, and whether I'd make the same decision all over again with everything I now know. So let me start with what Georgia actually delivered versus what I expected. And the first thing is the tax structure. Now, this actually worked exactly as advertised, exactly as it looks. The tax structure here is very simple, very easy to set up. You pay 1% tax on anything under 500,000 lari, which is around like 200,000 USD, and then you pay 3% on anything over. You can only go over a few years in a row before you get bumped off the small business status. But the whole tax setup here is very, very efficient. You do your 183 days to get your tax residency, which is very good for your home country, and you've got that whole business structure set up. Now, another point that I've made in videos before is about the Georgian people here. People are so friendly, the hospitality is incredible, second to none, and that's a very big part of the culture here. Like I've said in a recent video, one of my good Georgian friends when I first came here told me that they have a saying which is first God, then guests. So the Georgian hospitality and the Georgian people was one thing that was fantastic here, and exactly as expected, it's genuine, it's not, transactional. They are just really hospitable and fantastic people as part of the culture here. Now, another thing that was fantastic and not exactly what I expected was the level of the food and the wine, and that's only because I had no idea what I was coming into. I didn't know anything about Georgian food or wine when I pulled up here, and the Georgian food and wine just blew me away. It's incredible. Again, a very, very different level to most places and very enriched in culture, and something that's taken very seriously. Now, another thing that completely blew me away was the setup speed of anything here. You can get pretty much anything set up quite quickly, as long as it's not necessarily like home services. Like if you need someone to come to your house and fix something, that might take a little while. But if you go to a bank, you go to the business registration place, you're buying property, everything is so quick and easy. There's such a little amount of bureaucracy that it's almost unmatched in anything else, anywhere else that I've seen in the world. So that has been fantastic. Now, a couple things that fell short of my expectations was, number one, the winter. The winter is very gloomy and cold, especially as an Aussie, someone who's lived mostly in Australia and Southeast Asia. The winter is definitely not my vibe. Very cold, very quiet, not a lot going on, very rainy, and you can go weeks, without seeing a bit of sun. So definitely not my vibe and not something I'll be committing to in the future, but definitely worth knowing. Now, another one is the social ceiling in Batumi. It's a small city. There's not a lot of expats, not a lot of nomads. Those who are generally, Russian and Ukrainian and Russian speaking people. So there's not a lot of English expats as you might see in like Bali or Chiang Mai or places like this. But you take the good with the bad. Tbilisi is much better for this, as I did a recent video about the social life here. Now, in terms of the financial reality, one that's just completely undeniable is the taxes. Like I said, you pay 1% tax here. So if you're doing 200K a year somewhere like Australia, you're probably going to be paying like $80,000 or $90,000 in tax. If you're doing 200K in Georgia, you're going to be paying $2,000 in tax. So it is insane. Like that is an insane difference that can essentially fund your whole lifestyle multiple times over, especially somewhere like Georgia with the cost of living I'm about to mention. So the taxes are indisputable. Now, in terms of cost of living, depending on which city you go with and how crazy you like to go, if you're living somewhere like Batumi, which is where I am, and you have a pretty calm lifestyle, you like to eat well, train hard, and work a lot, like I do, then you're going to be spending probably sub $1,000 per month, US dollars. So that's around my budget. I did a recent cost of living budget here as well, but I found it was around $1,000, even a little under, depending on, if I go to the casino or not. So the cost of living here is insane. That's around $12,000 a year, which it's not rare to spend close to that in a quarter or even 2 months in somewhere like Australia. So insane on the cost of living. Now, the combined effect of that, of the lower taxes and the cost of living, you're going to be saving probably $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per year at an average income compared to somewhere like Australia. So the financial reality is undisputable and a very, very big advantage for somewhere like Georgia, especially with the tax system. Now, a few things that really surprised me about Georgia. Number one was how quickly it becomes normal and you kind of settle in. Batumi is a city that's very small, walkable, and like I said, the social circle is kind of very small, so you'll see a lot of the same people. It's very easy and quick to fall into routine, which can be a good and a bad thing. I think for a lock-in period, especially if you're someone like me who spends enough time to keep your tax residency, keep your setup, do your hub sort of here, and then you like to travel for say half the year, it's a really good place to just lock in, to settle down for that half of the year, and then you can go and travel for the rest. And it's very easy to fall into routine, to keep things going and stay locked in for that period of time. So that was a big surprise that I really like, especially if you're doing that over a good season, you have a good spot set up and you can enjoy it while you do it as well. Now, the next thing was the quality of thinking space. Number one, not having so many social interactions. Now, as much as I love meeting you guys, but from having this YouTube, I probably have a lot more now because it's such a small city. I meet so many people all the time from YouTube. But other than that, you kind of have a handful of people you probably see frequently, maybe people from gym or certain activities. I play basketball, so I often see the same people playing ball, but that's about it. And other than that, you have a lot of quiet thinking space to yourself, and also realistically having almost no financial stress depending on what you're doing for that period of time is always good as well. I think it's good, of course, to have a fire under you, but that fire can be from investments and things like that, not just from your cost of living. You don't have to just worry about how you're going to pay bills. Depending on your income level, that might be valuable to you. And I know back when I was not doing so well in business and living in Australia, that was a stress for me. So now being able to have a business which is God-given, growing and doing really well, and also paying a very low cost of living, there's almost no financial stress, and I can just continue to pour that money into investments and things for the future. So that is really good. Now, the next thing is actually how fast the property market and those investments move. Now, as I said in my last video, I bought my unit with my brother like a year and a half ago, a little less, and the value's almost doubled based on what we paid to what somebody I know paid in the same project recently before it sold out. It's actually sold out now, so it's probably worth even more. So that's an incredible return for just over a year and a little bit when we haven't even finished paying off the apartment. So on our investment, we've probably made double and a half or something like that. So very, very impressive for such a short time, and part of the reason why I was so keen to jump in, because I saw the potential in the market here. So that brings me into the next point, which is who Georgia is probably right for and who Georgia might not be right for. Now, number one, Georgia is going to be good for you if you earn online foreign income, you don't bill any clients here, and you operate probably as an agency, a freelancer, or a digital service, something like that. Then the Georgia tax and business structure is going to be very suitable for you. Georgia's also going to be good if you have a genuine intention to build a life abroad indefinitely. You want to have a hub, you want to have somewhere central that you can travel from with low cost of living and really good banking, business, that sort of thing. Georgia is going to be fantastic for you. If you're just taking a 3-month trip from your home country and you're going back, it's probably not the best place because you're not really going to benefit from all the great stuff financially and in terms of structure that Georgia is now offering, which is driving people here. So if you want to just take a quick 3-month trip, I would absolutely go to Thailand instead. But if you're building a life abroad for moving forward, you want to have that route that's somewhere central you can travel from and be set up well, Georgia is going to be great for you. Now, it's also good that if you are somebody who's coming to Georgia, you want to ideally be someone who doesn't mind a little bit of infrastructure friction sometimes. There can be things like internet outages or poor internet in certain cafes or spots. You can have things like maybe power outages. It's not a fully developed country like what you might see in Australia, US, UK. Sometimes there are those little things. If you're someone who can work around small friction at times, which most business owners probably should be, then you're going to be fine. But it's definitely worth taking note of. But it's nothing like South Africa where the power's going out in Cape Town a few hours every day or whatever that looks like. So you don't have to worry about it at that level. Now, in terms of people that Georgia might not be a good fit for, number one, if you're somebody who really appreciates having a big social circle and a lot of people that you can meet and network with frequently, I would recommend probably somewhere like Asia, Bali, Bangkok or Dubai, somewhere like that, or staying, New York, somewhere like that. I think Georgia, it's not really a massive place for networking. That's just the bottom line. Maybe in 5 years with the way that they're going, the things they're introducing, but at the moment, it's not the best place in the world for networking. So if you run a business which relies heavily on networking, it's probably not the best spot for you. Now, number two is if you run a business that has a very complex structure that doesn't route cleanly to the Georgian IE setup, then the tax benefits aren't so good for you. Or if you're doing way over the threshold and you want somewhere long term, because like I said, you can only exceed that threshold a couple years in a row before you get bumped up on taxes. So that's not going to help you. Now, another one would be if you're looking for a permanent home year round, 24/7 that you want to be in, I would say Georgia's probably not the best. It's very cold in the winter, like I said, very gloomy. Not somewhere for me to live year round, although there's very few places in the world that I would like to live year round. I would say if I had to pick somewhere immediately, it would be probably Thailand, or if there were no taxes, Australia. But I think Georgia is really good for that 6 months a year. I would avoid the winters ideally, and even Dubai, you got the summers, so that's not going to be a good pick either. So yeah, if you want somewhere to just stay year round, you don't want to travel, you don't want to leave, Georgia may not be the best option, but that's entirely up to you. Now, the final question, which I get all the time, is would I do it again? And as you can probably tell from the video, the answer is absolutely. I think the structure that I've built here in Georgia is insane. I truly believe it was God-given to be set up here in the way many of you have heard the story, but I spun the globe and landed on Georgia, and that's why I first visited. It has been fantastic to set up here. The world has just kept pulling me back to Georgia. Like I said, this is now where I've bought property, where everything is set up for me, and a large amount of my base and bottom line is now set up around Georgia. So absolutely, I would do it again. I continue to make the choice to stay and come back, and I think it's a fantastic place for nomads in situations like mine. So yes, I would definitely do it again, and there's not much I would change except now knowing not to stay for the winters because I don't really enjoy them. And it's a great time to be somewhere like the Middle East or Asia if I prefer to be there. So guys, I hope this video has been helpful for you. Now, if you are considering seriously moving to Georgia or checking it out, check the first link in my description. That is going to be to my guide. It's a fully personalized guide depending on your income, your situation, your job type, everything like that, to how you can move and migrate everything over to Georgia to be the same spot that I'm in, set up here, banking, business, tax, etc. So check out that guide. It's fully personalized to you based on about 30 questions that you'll answer, and then I'll send that over to you. So check that out. And also, if you're coming over, check out the free school community. Really good for networking, for building a bit of a network before you get here, which, like I said, is hard to do here. So you'll have access to drop some posts, meet some people, and head over. Guys, I look forward to seeing your questions in the comments. If you think I've missed anything, leave it there. And otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.